Hey guys, what's up? It's Beacon from GNA today. So I had somebody on one of my videos ask this question. They asked it on my video that's handguns for absolute beginners. And they asked about why it's necessary for the slide to lock back on a handgun like this. And he said he understood the slide stop does that. Let me describe that for you if you don't even know what a slide stop is.
Sweet.
Okay, so like on this firearm right here, there's no rounds in the magazine. You could see the follower there a second ago. But whenever on the last round, when this comes back, it actually locks back here, and this slide stop is actually pushed up by spring, and it catches into a little notch on the slide and keeps the slide from going forward. So you can see right here on this 22 compact, same thing, the magazine is empty, and so whenever this comes back on the last round, it holds it back, and this is the slide stop, and it's catching that. Same thing here. This is the slide stop on this 1911. Now, not all guns have a slide stop, and this is a super cheap little Saturday night special, but it doesn't have one. There's no way to hold the slide back. This is just a safety. It just keeps the slide from going back and forth, but there's nothing to hold the slide back after the last round. Okay, same thing on this Glock 17. Now, on this Glock, I've got a dummy round in here. This is a fake round. There's nothing explosive about this. It's got a little spring in here, and so you see there's nothing else. You can see the follower on the magazine. The follower is this little plastic piece. So you can see there's no other rounds beneath there besides that. So I'm going to put this in here. Put that in here. And now watch, whenever I rack it, it's going to put that round in the chamber. Now there's a round in the chamber. It's that fake round, that dummy round, that snap cap. Now when I pull the slide back, it's going to kick that round out. And the slide stop is going to engage, and it's going to keep the slide from going forward. So watch this. So it kicked the round out, and it kept the slide from going forward. So that's what a slide stop does, is it stops the slide from going forward. Now there's a huge debate on when you put another magazine back in, should you use a slide stop to basically be a slide release, or should you grab it and grab the slide and let it drop like that, which you shouldn't do that anyways on an empty chamber. That's not very wise. I'm not getting into that debate. I just want to talk about what is the purpose of the slide actually being held back. Now, these are definitely not official answers. I just thought of a list of stuff that I could think of for the reasons why the slide should be held back. Number one is it alerts you when you're shooting that you have shot the last round. So like I showed you there a second ago, when you shoot the last round, it holds that slide back, and when you're shooting, you can see that. You can feel that it's totally different than the other round, and you can see that you've shot the last round. So that alerts you no more rounds in the chamber. So you know at this point I've got to get a different magazine in here that's loaded. So kind of a second benefit to that then is that you're not always firing on a empty chamber. In other words, you're not dry firing. So what dry firing is whenever there's an empty chamber like this, and I'll just show you. For sure, there's an empty chamber. There's nothing in there. You can see there's no rounds in the chamber. That would be a round in the chamber. There's not a round in the chamber. So when I pull the trigger, that's dropping, in this case, it's dropping the striker. But on some guns, you'll be dropping a hammer and just causing needless wear when you're dry firing, which most guns are okay to dry fire with, but it does save you from dry firing all the time on that empty chamber. So that's one thing. Okay, another reason that it's good to be able to hold the slide back is that a lot of ranges, when they call a ceasefire or it's just not time to be shooting, you can bring the slide back whether there's a mag in it or not. And generally in that situation, you would not want a mag in it. You can just bring it back, hold the slide open like that, and then you can lay it out on the bench like this where people can look in and see that your chamber's clear. Or a lot of times even there'll be a little chamber flag, a little orange or yellow piece plastic piece that you can slide up in there to show even further that you're clear. But that's another benefit to having a slide locked back, is for safety reasons, to see that this chamber is clear and that it's not in battery. It will not shoot from this position. Okay, another reason that it's good to have the slide locked back like this is a lot of times whenever you completely fill up a magazine, and you can see that this magazine holds 17 rounds. A lot of times whenever you put in every round, 17th round, if this slide is closed, you're having to push that round up against the stuff in the slide. And so if it's open like this, then you can easily slide that in there, and that round is right there. And then however you let the slide loose, whether you use the slide stop or you just let it slingshot forward like this, then it'll be able to put that round in there and everything works good. So in other words, if the magazine is completely full, it helps to get that round in there because it's just so tight that if the slide is closed, a lot of times you can't get it all the way in place with it like that. And again, it's just easy to see that there's no rounds here. With this like this, with the slide locked back, I can see that yellow follower, that little plastic piece, and I can see there is no rounds in there. That thing is empty. And then another benefit, which it's not necessarily for this, but another benefit to having the slide locked back like this is a lot of times you want to inspect something, like you want to look at the feed ramp or look at the chamber there and see if it's dirty. Well, if you're doing like this on this gun where there's no slide lock and you're having to move around and look in there to see everything, it's not easy to do that. But if the slide is locked back, I can just hold it like this and I can easily use both hands to get in there. I'm not having to use one hand to hold the slide back as I'm trying to look in there. Of course, always being safe, keeping the gun pointed in a safe direction as you're doing this, but it does make it easier to inspect the firearm like this. So, I don't know, that's my list of reasons why I think there's a slide stop. There may be some other reasons that are super obvious and it just escaped my thinking, but I think that's the main reasons for having a slide to lock back like that. This is B coming from GNA today. Thanks for watching.